Starting over when you thought you were done. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I've been living through these past few weeks, reinvention, starting over, and what it really feels like when life nudges you into a new chapter, even when you thought you were done with all of that. You know, the word reinvention can sound pretty dramatic, can't it? Like we're supposed to become something completely different overnight. But for me, reinvention isn't about throwing away who I've been. It's about adjusting, reshaping, and uncovering the next version of myself that fits this chapter of my life. It's more like a do-over or a second or a third chance. Sometimes it's bold, like starting a business or taking a big leap. And other times it's quieter, like moving to a new home, finding new routines, and giving myself permission to rest when I'm worn out. That's still reinvention, and that's the kind I've been living these last few weeks. As some of you know, I've just moved into a new town, into a 55-plus condo community. And let me tell you, moving at 70-plus years old is not for the faint of heart. I thought I was keeping up pretty well until I crashed real hard. And that crash taught me something about what reinvention really looks like in real life. So a little about my move. Some of you might not know, I've moved many times. So moving is not normally a big deal. Moving is, you pack the stuff, you move it to a new place, you unpack it, and you get on with the things. But this time, I did the packing, the moving, and the unpacking almost entirely alone. The only thing that I had help with was I had movers who came and they actually moved the furniture. Everything else I packed, relocated, and unpacked all by myself. Now, I'm not complaining. I don't mind doing that. I'm just sharing with you that it's different now than when I was younger. And this time, I thought I was keeping everything together. I thought I was doing okay until I didn't keep it together and I wasn't okay. After the move, 2 full days on the sofa, and, thinking about the emotions, how tired I was this time, and the loneliness in the process of this move, and the frustration at crashing, but also the pride in what I had accomplished. These were all different than in the other moves that I've had. Could have something to do with my age, could have something to do with the circumstances of, why I moved, which I'm not going to bore you to tears with that, but it kind of makes you think. And at one point, I actually stopped to think, and I was thinking to myself, who in their right mind moves boxes at 70? Oh, yeah, right. Me. I do that. And yet, here I am, not fully unpacked. Pictures not hung, so bare walls with some nail holes in them from the last person who was here. And stuck finding new spaces for the stuff to fill in on. But life keeps calling. My YouTube work, my friendships, my family, my new routines. Reinvention doesn't wait until the house is perfect. There seems to be a myth about this thing called reinvention or do-over, that this stuff is glamorous. We imagine it as a grand, exciting adventure. Honest, sometimes it looks like boxes and bruises and needing a nap. The reality in midlife and later in life is it's exhausting. And that's okay. We don't bounce back as quickly as we did when we were younger, but we can bounce. Adapting to change at this age is less about speed and more about resilience, I think. So the invisible work behind what we had to do, there's an emotional thing, an emotional bit of labor, emotional piece of work of starting over, whether that's a new home or new routines or a new community. There's also that part about actually grieving for what you left behind while you're still hopeful about what's coming up next. It's a little bit of a juxtaposition, something that beats up against itself. Here's the takeaway. This time of change in this chapter of our lives isn't necessarily a sprint. It's not a race. It's more about pace and having some grace, and a lot about persistence rather than speed. So, how to survive change? Give yourself permission to rest. 2 days on the sofa doesn't mean I failed. It means my body and heart needed recovery time. Another thing to consider is that routines keep us grounded. So getting back to my YouTube channel isn't just business for me. It's part of reestablishing rhythm and also meeting. Perfection isn't required. This is sometimes a one for me. I have to remember perfection is not required. You don't need every picture hung or every box unpacked in order to start living again. I used to spend only, say, a couple of days after the boxes came to the new place to get everything organized. And last thing was the pictures hung on the wall. That might have taken a few extra days, but in less than a week, I was all done and starting the new way of being in the new place. Not like that anymore. I've decided that it's okay to slow down, and I don't have to have everything done all at one time. It's a big deal. And another thing that I try to remember at this chapter of my life and after this move is that the reinvention, the change, is about direction, not about decoration. The point isn't the throw pillows or the perfectly placed photographs or the pictures on the wall. It's choosing to step back into life, even in the middle of the mess. So that's where I am today, stepping back into life, even in the middle of the mess. So if there's one thing I've learned through this move, it's that reinvention and the do-over part isn't about erasing who I've been, but instead it's about carrying my history with me and still choosing to grow. Process can look messy, and it's tiring, and it's often imperfect. And no matter where you are or how old you are, you always have the power to begin again, a new chapter. Starting over when you thought you were done is not easy, but it is possible. And it's powerful. If you've been through a big change, moving, retirement, loss, or even just a change of heart, remember this. You're allowed to pause, you're allowed to rest, and then you're allowed to begin again. So I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever faced a chapter of reinvention when you thought your big changes were behind you, finally? What did it look like for you? Leave me a comment. Put your thoughts down in that little box down below the video. Your story just might be exactly what another woman needs to hear today. Thanks for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in the next episode.